Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islam, 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 Moorish America, want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another ears session. I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Amohadi Shabazel, and my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawa Minti El Muhajjid Shepsuel. And we have a grand droid to bring on the manifest to you all this morning. And so we ask that you have your paper and your pen on handy, and also you hit the like, share, and subscribe, if you haven't already. And we welcome you to this special session, this ear session. But let us call forth our beloved Consul General of the territory of Iowa, Dr. Tara Anpu Ani Batibe, that he may open up our hearts and minds as he open up the way.
Islam. Gratitude. First, I'd like to rise to give all manner of praise to Allah. Honest to the Prophet, honest to our theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, muftis, citizens alike. Honest to all the Moors that are here on our panel. Honest to all the Moors that are here in the sound of my voice. With that, I will begin with the ancient Canadian and that Moorish American prayer. Ya Allah Amnu Haru, Makunetaru. Ya Allah Abhet Haru. Ya Allah Ma'at Haru. Ya Allah Hotep Haru. Ya Allah Haru. Ya Allah Mayat Harukuti. Ya Allah Awajet Juti. Ya Allah Pertim Sutek. Pertim Haru. Ya Allah Bamaduti. Al-Headed Sepsis Rayab Tu Ali. Amin. Alayusa. 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 And that is to say, O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my God. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet. O Allah, Drew Ali. Holy Isa, Holy Isa, Holy Isa. And with the recitation of our Adept Moorish American prayer, I will move on to our divine constitution, Moorish America, salvation, our God unity. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality. We are teaching our people their nationality and the divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, color folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendant of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts in Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues to keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And with the conclusion of the recitation of our divine constitution and bylaws, I will now turn this meeting over to our Grand Secretary of State, Dr. Asepsri Tutankhamun Bey, Islam.
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 Gratitude. Gratitude. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our ears class, giving honor to our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Sheto Amenti El Mohamed Chepsuel, giving honor to our Consul General of Iowa, Dr. Bati Bey, for opening our meeting according to law, giving honor to Act 1. The divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, Chapter 2, Education of Mary and Elizabeth in Zone, Egypt. The son of Herod, Archelaus, reigned in Jerusalem. He was a selfish, cruel king. He put to death all of those who did not honor him. He called in council all the wisest men and asked the infant claimant of his throne. The council said that John and Yehoshua both were dead. Then he was satisfied. Now Joseph, Mary, and their son were in Egypt and Zone, and John was with his mother in the Judean hills. Elihu and Salome sent messengers in haste to find Elizabeth and John. They found them. They brought them to Zone. Now Mary and Elizabeth were marveling much because of their deliverance. Elihu said, "It is not strange. There are no happenings. Law governs all events. From olden times it was ordained that you should be with us, and in this sacred school be taught." Elihu and Salome took Mary and Elizabeth out to the sacred grove nearby where they were wont to teach. Elihu said to Mary and Elizabeth, "You may esteem yourselves thrice blessed, for you are chosen mothers of long-promised sons, who are ordained to lay a solid rock, a sure foundation stone, on which the temple of the perfect man shall rest, a temple that shall never be destroyed. We measure time by cycle ages, and the gate to every age we deem a milestone in the journey of the race. An age had passed, the gate into another age flies open at the age touch of time. This is the preparation age of soul, the kingdom of Emmanuel, of Allah in man. And these, your sons, will be the first to tell the news, and teach the gospel of goodwill to men and peace on earth. A mighty work is theirs, for carnal men want not the light. They love the dark, and when the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. We call these sons revealers of the light, but they must have the light before they can reveal the light. And you must teach your sons and set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal, and make them conscious of their missions to the sons of men. Teach them that Allah and man are one, but that through carnal thoughts and words and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah, debased himself. Teach that the holy breath would make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. That naught can make them one but love. That Allah so loved the world that he has clothed his son in flesh, that man can comprehend. The only Savior of the world is love, and Yehoshua, son of Mary, comes to manifest that love to men. Now love cannot be manifest until its way has been prepared, and naught can rend the rock and bring down lofty hills and fill the valleys up and thus prepare the way. But purity in life men do not comprehend, and so it too must come in flesh. And you, Elizabeth, are blessed because yours is purity made flesh, and he shall pave the way for love. This age will comprehend but little of the works of purity and love, but not a word is lost, for in the book of Allah's remembrance, a registry is made of every thought and word and deed. And when the world is ready to receive, lo, Allah will send a messenger to open the book and copy from its sacred pages all the messages of purity and love. Then every man of earth will read the words of life in language of his native land, and men will see the light and walk in the light and be the light. And man again will be at one with Allah. So at this time, we want to turn the meeting back into the hands of our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Sheto Amenti El Mohamed Chepsuel. Islam?
Islamism. Can you hear me, Goddess and Queen?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Gratitude. Islamism. Gratitude. Islam, Islam, Islam. Having already risen upon the seven and given praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you again to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Amohadi Shabazel. My ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawal Minti Amohajid Shebzewell. And we have a grand drawing to bring on the Manifest family, from our scribes. So most definitely be on the Manifest to get your drawing, so to speak. And be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe, because that's how we're going to get the people, in here to be able to see what it is that we demonstrate. So, get the likes up, get the shares up, from your end, and support the session. So at this time, what we're going to do, without further delay, we're going to call forth our family, to the scribes, to bring forth their adept assignment this morning. So this is going to be a powerful demonstration in relation to dealing with the ancient Egyptian Demotic script, aka second Shat, MATHENO'S lesson 5F. So this is going to be a powerful demonstration, family. So y'all tune in, because it's going to be a lot learned this morning, especially when it has to do with, the Rosetta Stone. So Islam. So we're going to open up the floor for our scribes.
Islam.
Islam, Grand Man.
Islam. Praises and honors, previously given. This is Dr. Batabe. And I will, give me a second. I got to share first, and then we'll get into share entire screen. There you go. That's not Islam. Is my screen sharing?
Yeah, we got you in queue, Grand Man. Let me expand it a little bit for you, though.
Okay.
There you go.
Islam.
Islam.
So the assignment was, it says vet the BMEA 24 Rosetta Stone papyrus and demonstrate the Greco-Egyptianized attempt to superimpose the Greekism into the Rosetta Stone, expose some of the Greek deities and activities executed in their names. Now, this just even clarified more for me that the deception and how deep this deception runs. And what I did was I took the bottom part of the translation, which was in German, and I translated that, took it and hit the button, translated that all into the English, and I just copied and pasted, right? And when it goes into, and I highlighted some portions out of here, I didn't get through the whole thing, but I got through, a decent amount of this to where you can see the deception. And I'm going to read. And what I noticed is that what they tried to carnally attribute to what a god, or their understanding of what a god was merely man, that hasn't evolved, and the acts that they would do as being a god. They tried to, and that's where the superimpose was. And you see that it really is kind of irritating, and at the same time it's enlightening, because you see that the Rosetta Stone was just something, it was faked. And you'll be able to see it with what with the highlighted portions of what I have here. So this is, and we went over this in the last class, but it goes deeper into this. It says the son of Ray Tome. Now I didn't go ahead and look at I didn't go ahead and pinpoint it in the Demotic and script or what the Ray Tome was, but we know that the transliteration is saying, from what they have on the Rosetta Stone, says the son of Ray Tome, ever living, beloved by Ta. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Ta did not know who Tome was. And then they tried to impose the Ray, which was the female. If you look at the there was one video when we started this whole class, it was called basically Ray was the female version of Ra. And so he imposed this is supposed to be the female version, Re Tome, on to his name in order to add or make it seem like he was of that he was of Egypt, or even before the creation. Is the cosmology of, I forget the name of the video, but I think it's the cosmology of Egypt or something like that. And it goes into, it explains what Ra and Re is. And it's really the energetic, properties that brought forth everything from what we say, nothing. And it says ever living, beloved by Ta. Ta didn't know Tome. Ta knew Re. Ta didn't know Tome. That's where he imposed his name right here. It says the appearing God whose goodness is beautiful, son of Tome. And Arsinoe, which is one of his daughters, actually. And I hope this changes. I'll shrink that. Arsinoe. And this is what it says on Arsinoe. Arsinoe, Greek, between 68 and 63 BC. Now, if it's talking about between 68 and 63 BC, then that's still not sufficient time span enough for them to even impose Re. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a big gap between Re and Arsinoe. Arsinoe, which was the youngest daughter of Tome. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't, which was a queen in line underneath, and it says co-rule, and it said co-regency. That was what she was. So he really just imposed his family and his children into this Rosetta Stone to give him some type of authority as being Egyptian, because they usurped the land out of the Egypt, which I'll show you, when we get later down into this. It says the gods who loved their father and the high priest of Alexander. And this should give you a time span too. If it says the priest of Alexander, it's not Alexandria, because that was the name of the country or whatever, or the city or whatever, was Alexandria. Alexander speaks to me that it's speaking more so to Alexander the Greek. Now understand, now I didn't look up if that time span between Ptolemy and Alexander was there, but I know that around when I looked up Ptolemy, it says that he was a astronomer, a philosopher, and all of that. So that doesn't accentuate the properties of being a god in likes of what they're trying to say when he put Re before it, because Re was a attribute, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to well, in this sense, not in this sense, but Re was an attribute more so from my understanding than it was an actual being, you know what I'm saying. And so going on, it says of the siblings of the gods beneficent gods, and of the gods who love their father, and the king, and of King Ptolemy, of the appearing gods, whose goodness is beautiful, Atios, son of Atios, when period. Now these are all Greek names. And if you look at this, the Tatan, you know what I'm saying, and look at this pronunciation, Atos and Piera, these are not the same phonetic, spelling. It doesn't even have phonetic the same sound. One of the things that they didn't do in Egypt was put the, as we showed through the work, is they didn't use the vowels in it, but they would just it'd be PTH really. And so this is also shows that this, a lot of this will be superimposed by just that alone. You know what I'm saying? If you're aware. And then it goes into all these ones, and I have these, Athaflora. I didn't find this one because it said it brought up something else, but I looked up a few of these other names too as well. But it says before Berenice, who was beneficent when Aria, daughter of Dionys, was Cain. And it says Flora before, who loved her brother when Ernie, daughter of Ptolemy, was a priestess of Arsinoe, whose loved her father. On this day decreed. So this is all the superimposed and how they imposed themselves into this. This is part of the Rosetta Stone that I believe that was broken off, and then they tried to grind down and then add to, and and they go in here and they talk about King Ptolemy, ever living, beloved by Ptah, and they're using Ptah as being, the authority which Ptolemy was able to rule, but as I told you before, Ptah didn't know Ptolemy. You know what I'm saying? These are actually two different time frames. You know what I'm saying? And we know that the European is only about 5,000-6,000 years old. So, and Ptah was, a significant amount of time before, that even 5,000, 6,000 years ago. So, but going on, it says, whose goodness is beautiful, committed the priests who gathered together the temples of Memphis, who said, now King Ptolemy, ever living, the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful as beautiful son of King Ptolemy and Queen of Arsinoe, the gods who love their father does much good to the temples of Egypt. And when I read this document, another thing that came to mind instantly was that it seems like when they had usurped the land and all the things the land had offered, that they were putting in a bunch of executive orders, kind of like you see before us today, and that they were passing that off as no different than Joe Biden talking about he put executive order in for what have you, and saying that the God Joe Biden did this and so forth and so forth. It doesn't, when you read this, it doesn't speak to something a God would do. And I didn't get no godness out of what this super artificial document. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get no God. I didn't see anything that a God would do in here, because if by their standards, if God is of free will, then why would they force another one into a situation to where you take over their land? You know what I'm saying? If you was as great as you're saying as you're imposing yourself to be, and all you did was take the land, strip the people of what he say on later on in here. He said that he the warriors that fought against Egypt. So he already let you know right then there that he, they had an army that invaded Egypt, took the land over, and that they were all allowed to keep the property, basically the bounties or the booty that they got from Egypt. Whatever gold, whatever, trinkets that they found in Egypt, they were able to keep. You know what I'm saying, by his decree. And then it's just crazy. And it was irritating to read, you know, even much, but I'm gonna go on a little bit more just to show you the this corruptness or whatever. And then it says, Arsinoa, gods who love their father, does much good for the temples of Egypt and to all who are under his kingship. Being a god, and he don't know what he want to be, a king or a god. Those are two different roles. One is ordained, one is appointed. And ordained and appointed, though may sound you know, may be similar in some people's mind, those are two different statuses, and yet even two different jurisdictions, if you will. Being a god and son of a god. So he's a god and son of a god, and a goddess being like Horus, son of Isis, son of Osiris, who protected his father. Like this right here just shows you these, you know what I'm saying, they didn't know what they didn't really understand what God is or who God was. You know what I'm saying? You can't circumscribe what God is. Finite minds can never comprehend things that finite. And so this is what you would come up with if you didn't know no better. You know, and then it says, by having his heart charitable to the gods, and since he has already given much money. So God handed out checks now, right? Okay. And much grain to the temples of Egypt. He has already made, he said God giving out stimmy checks. That's crazy. He has already made many expenditures to make rest in Egypt and to strengthen the temples. And since he has already given gifts to all the army that was under his rule, the taxes that exist in Egypt, or he remitted them altogether to cause the army and all other people to prosper in this time as king. Again, he don't know whether he want to be a king or a god. There's two different stations. The remaining amounts for the king, which were at the expense of the people, listen to this. After they took him over, they said the remaining amounts for the king, which were at the expense of the people of Egypt. So they're talking about the actual inhabitants paying for him to come in there and hostilely take over their land, their understanding. Yet he gives a breaks to the priesthood because the priesthood, they forced them to put his people in the or transliterate that you know he was a king and all this into the you know, Rosetta Stone to give him some type of deification. You know, I was reading this, I was getting irritated. I'm not gonna even, you know, stunt with that, but because I see that, you know, it just blatantly speaks out to me deception, especially when you coming from, you know, more science and understanding how God is implied and, you know, where God is. And it shows by just the verbiage in here that he don't know where God is or who God is, just by that alone. And it says the people who were imprisoned and those who had been accused for a long time, he released them. He has commanded concerns, offerings of the gods and the funds and the grain, which are given annually as sand tax to their temples, and the shares which belong to the gods of the vineyards, the orchard, and all the other things that took the possession of in his father's time. So this is just showing that this is more so a man ruling, trying to say that he was a god. But when you are, as we say, conformed into there's just certain avenues that you're not going to breach. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you're being controlled by the will. You're being controlled by that divine will. His is going off of what he see. Egypt was a place that had a whole bunch of knowledge and was the epicenter of civilization. And so we're going to go in there and take that over and then superimpose ourselves as being the ones who orchestrated the whole thing. And that I'm going to say that I'm beloved by Ta, so I can have some type of even higher authority amongst the people, when we know that you killed off the people that transliterated the stuff into it so they couldn't tell the truth, or if they would tell, you would try to kill them off anyway. So this is what I got out of reading the transliteration of this. And now I'm going to go into the second part of this measure, which is, there's more, but I didn't want to lose or go too deep into this conversation, because I feel like I have some time later to speak on it. It says, expose some of the Greek deities and the activities executed in their will. Ptolemy being the one I just exposed to Ptolemy, how he superimposed himself into basically the priesthood, and saying that he gave the people, he gave the churches a break, and at the expense of the original inhabitants. And that's kind of how it's going in over here for us. We're being taxed, but yet the money's going to another place, and you're being paid by you're paying the police officers to really execute your people off. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of going off the same aspect. You know what I'm saying? And they say history repeats itself, and we're just seeing this over here. We're actually living this over here with what, Ptolemy did, like George Washington, them saying that they were the founders of this place, you know what I'm saying? And had the audacity to put their mugs up on their mug shots on the Mount Rushmore. So you want to know who the real criminal is, there you go. And so I was looking up Arsinoe, and I said this is his daughter, but she was a queen, and it says queen and co-ruler of the Ptolemaic Egypt. And I like the fact that Wikipedia put the Ptolemaic Egypt, because it shows that there's a different lineage that was there. You know what I'm saying? And then later he talks about, down here it says, for her role in conducting the siege of Alexandria, you know what I'm saying, against her sister Cleopatra. They tried to put Cleopatra in there. They tried to really, all their people that from Greece, they tried to enter in to the Egyptian stock, and what Egyptians were, what the Comedians, or more so, were bringing forth when we're talking about civilization. Here's another one, Atios, and this one says this was a friend of Zeus. This was actually a friend of Zeus as a child, and the earthborn childhood companion of Zeus, the king of the gods, who served as the origin of the ego of Zeus. And what's crazy is they got a lot of fratricide. You know what I'm saying? Fratricide meaning that you kill the father. You know what I'm saying? And you see that he had conquered his father. Zeus had conquered, what was his name? I was going to say Thanos. I was watching too much, whatever that movie was. Cronus, yeah. But he had overtook his father, Cronus. So it's a form of fratricide, because I don't think he killed him. I don't think he killed him. But I think he imprisoned him somehow, some way or something. He might have killed him. I'm not sure. I'm not too involved in Greek philosophies or mythology or whatever. But that's fratricide, that he took over, the era of his dad. You know what I'm saying? In a sense. And I hope I'm saying this right. Arini. Okay. And this says peace. And this would be, to me, more like Mayat. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing that I jotted down in the notes, is that when you're looking at this, they would, though they had their own, the Greeks had their own actions, they would try to align themselves with a deity, you know what I'm saying, out of Egypt, and then impose what they did, you know what I'm saying, in Greek mythology. You know what I'm saying? And there's people in Egypt that were still holding true to what the deities. We're not saying means of worship, but we're talking about more so along the lines of having these attributes, and they would try to the Greeks would try to impose themselves and line themselves up. So when you think about Hermes, it's really Thoth. Hermes is Thoth, and you see them; they got a whole clothing line now. Hermes out here. When you're talking about, like he said, Re told me. So he trying to attach himself to the female principle of Ra. You know what I'm saying? And really, and it's trying to say Re because Re was, I believe, was they, the woman has to bring forth, or the feminine has to bring forth the birth of things. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, he tried to attach himself to the principle of being the birth of, you know what I'm saying, the civilization, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't at all enjoy the deception that I read from these documents, and then going into these their form of God. But it seems like it was they were just cut and pasting, copying, and trying to make themselves be something that they're not, And so that's really what all I got of it. And it said that she was depicted in art as a beautiful young woman carrying a cornucopia, a scepter. That didn't come from Greece. You know what I'm saying? That was stolen, hijacked, and the torch of Rytha. Another one that they mentioned in there was Arsinoe, who was the sixth child and the youngest daughter of Ptolemy. I think I spoke on this one already, so I'm going to skip that and then go to heresies. Heresies also, heresies or heresesis, they're trying to say that literally means Horus, son of Isis. So they took, they took it and transliterated into their language, and then in order to, like, you see this picture down here, of a heresy, of heresies, which is they're claiming is Horus. So the deception is something that I don't, when you're looking at and I'm gonna stop sharing right now, but when you're looking at this whole document, it just shows that Greece, none of the people from Greece knew what they were really doing. They just they had this hunger for being there. It's almost like the little brother wanted to be the big brother, you know what I'm saying? Or the story of Esau and Jacob. One stole the other's birthright. And they were trying, that's how they imposed themselves. And I think that Esau and Jacob was an allegory for what I just went over, you know what I'm saying? And actually a real good allegory for what took place in Egypt. And so with that, I leave it a comment piece. Islam.
Yes, sir. Can you pull that last page you had up there by heresy, Scribe? That's a powerful measure you brought forth, though, thus far. And just reshare it. Okay. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I seen something there. Right down there. Scroll it up a little bit. The screen. Right there. You see where it says heresy, high priest of Ptah? Right down there. It said too in that portion too, but it got right up. Go up a little bit above that. Yeah, click that link. Yeah. So now, heresy, as we see, was their version of Heru, right? That they came up with. How did heresy become a high priest of Ptah? When their version of Heru didn't even exist during the time of Ptah. See, these are things that have to really be paid attention to. And so the Rosetta Stone is somewhat like a propaganda. It is a propaganda tool, but it's almost relative you know, we can say similar to the Willie Lynch doctrine, but they version of it. You know what I mean? Actually, in action, it reminds me of the King Alfred plan, and you know, all them different measures where one is actually working against the people. But to actually put this in stone, and the main thing, it's a terrible demonstration, family. Very terrible. You know, so man. Ooh wee. I just wanted to point that out, Scribe. You did a good job though, brother. Allah is leading on and victory is sure. Ooh wee. All right. Well, let us allow our other scribe or scribess to come forth with her measure. Sister Shepsut Rakat Ma'at and Putut to come and bake. Islam, goddess. If you speaking, we can't hear you, Grand Secretary of the State. They got you on mute over here.
Islam?
Islamism, we hear you now.
Oh my goodness. Praise Allah. Islam. Having already risen, giving praise and honor where due. Much gratitude to you, Dr. Bati Bey. Powerful demonstration. Gratitude. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Oh yeah, we got you right there. Got you in queue, Grand Secretary of State. Let me expand it for you. There you go.
Gratitude. I definitely have to agree with Scribe Dr. Bati Bey grand demonstration that our God man brought forth, because we basically went over the same similar things. And I was also while I was going through the Rosetta Stone, I was also looking at the history in reference to what actually was going on during this period of time. So our assignment, vet the British Museum EA-24 Rosetta Stone papyri and demonstrate the Greco-Egyptianizing attempt to superimpose Greekism into the Rosetta Stone, expose some of the Greek deities and activity executed in their name. And there are some words that I pulled out, you know, for further clarification, dealing with the self, which we have gone over in class before in reference to exactly what a stele is. And the one in yellow, speaking about a slab of stone, would also be used as an ancient Greek and Roman government notice, or as boundary markers to mark borders or property lines. Stelae were occasionally erected as memorials to battles. So this is what the Rosetta Stone represented for me in looking at what it brought forth. In essence, government notices. Okay, we didn't conquer you. This is the way it's going to be from here on out, you know. And I tell you, some of these descriptions were just horrible. This is a picture of the Rosetta Stone that's listed in the British Museum, and it speaks about the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, Demotic script, and Greek. And definitely fabrication. And I like Dr. Bati Bey's words in reference to superimposing themselves. And I did find a book dealing with Google Books, dealing with the Rosetta Stone by E.A. Wallace Budge, which speaks about it, was first published in 1989. A replication of the work originally published in 1929 by the Religious Tract Society in London under the title Rosetta Stone in the British Museum, the Greek, Demotic, and Hieroglyphic Texts of the decree inscribed on the Rosetta Stone, conferring additional honors on Ptolemy V Epiphanes from 203 to 181 BC, with English translations and a short history of the decipherment of the Egyptian hieroglyphs and appendix containing translations of the stelae of San Tanis and Tal al Maskuta. So that's where I pulled a lot of the historical demonstrations from. But let me go. It was a lot of history going into the back and forth, the conniving, the backstabbing, and it reminded me of how Morocco aligned themselves with France, Britain, etc., to take the Moors, and put them into slavery. And then after they went hand in hand with the European nations, they ended up with their flag followed. So it was a similar thing when it came down to Kemet as well, because there were a lot of couple of battles that Egypt had aligned themselves with the Greeks in fighting off another enemy, Macedonians. And then when the army comes into Kemet again, they're thinking, oh yeah, okay, well, we already know what your demonstration is. But in essence, the last time they came, they weren't coming as allies. They were coming to usurp the Egyptians. So I'm like, what in the world? Now, I also went down to the German portion in reference to the transliteration and used Google Translate. And I like Dr. Bati Bey's form, which I'm going to use moving forward. But I did certain sections in the Rosetta Stone to, see exactly what they were speaking about, and got basically the same thing. The king of the upper districts and of the lower districts, the son of the gods who loved their father, whom Ptah chose, and to whom Re gave victory, the living image of a moon. You can see the remix in that. The son of Re Ptolemy, eternally living, beloved of Ptah. And in essence, the same demonstration, because this was like the first section of it. And you can see the kissing up to, these are the benevolent, the this and the that. You could just see the demonstration in reference to trying to make deity or a special character, which was not there. Going down, it also spoke about Arsinoe, who loves her brother, was with Irene, daughter of Ptolemy, priestess of Arsinoe, who loves her father. And Dr. Bati Bey went over that. The sanctuary to clothe the gods and the scribes of the book of God and the scribes of the house of life and the other priests who come from the temples of Egypt came to Memphis. On the feast of receiving the office of rulership from the hand of his father, which was celebrated by King Ptolemy, ever living, beloved of Ptah, the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, the priests assembled in the temple of Memphis, they are who said, there is now King Ptolemy, ever living, dealing with, you can see the God that you're praying to, in other words, the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, son of King Ptolemy. And to the queen Arsinoe, who does much good to the gods who love their father, to the temples of Egypt, and to all who are under his royal office, being a god and son of a god, and a goddess, being like Horus, son of Isis, son of Osiris, who protected his father Osiris by being charitable to the gods, and since he has already given much money and much grain to the temples of Egypt. So, he has already made many expenditures, again, as Dr. Bati Bey pointed out, spending out money to establish peace, trying to buy off this demonstration in Egypt and to fortify the temples. And since he has already given the taxes to the entire army that was under his rule and the taxes that existed in Egypt, he reduced them. He remitted them entirely in order that the army and all other people might prosper as during his time as king. Same MO. And again, he stated that those who were in prison, he let go. Those who had long been accused of crimes, he released them. He has commanded concerning the sacrificial endowments of the gods and the money and of the grain, which are given annually. That was also spoken on. And, I'm like, you can see the redundancy in this. And I, on the above mentioned golden diadem, put a papyri and a rush, and one should put the uraeus, a vulture, on a basket with a rush under it. Still, again, trying to imitate what Egypt already had. Speaking about a golden shrine, the king who enlightened Upper and Lower Egypt, another title brought forth. And when it was done, the birth of the ever-living king. And now here are some of these instructions. In this particular month and day, the 17th and the last day of the month shall be observed every month as a festival in all the temples of Egypt, and burnt offerings and drink offerings and all other things which are appropriate to be done at the other festivals shall be observed monthly at the two festivals. Now, I kind of dropped down because, as Bati Bey stated, you're looking at the muck and the mire and like, okay, come on now, because it was just getting too far to the left. So, and dropping down to lines 29 through 32 of the German transliteration, what is offered as a sacrifice should be distributed to the people who serve in the temple. And a festival and a procession shall be celebrated in the temples and throughout all Egypt to King Ptolemy, the ever-living, the appearing God. Okay, let's see. They shall be called, in every temple they should be called the priests of the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, in addition to the other priestly titles. And they shall write it in all the records of the deeds, and they shall write the office of the priest of the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, upon their rings, and engrave it upon them. And it shall also, private persons who desire it shall be permitted to cause such a golden shrine of the appearing God, whose goodness is beautiful, mentioned above, to appear. So you see that they are still perpetrating the demonstration and how it's to be displayed. Annual festivals again, and as is fitting, and the decree shall be written on a stele of hard stone in hieroglyphics, Demotic, and Greek. Now they're telling you how they're going to demonstrate this thing. And the stele, shall be placed in the temples of the first, second, and third rank next to the statue of the ever-living king. Now, the second part of the assignment was dealing with the Greek deities, and I think I only selected two. Ptolemy the Fifth, Epiphanes, from 210 to 180 BC. They said that he succeeded his father when he was only 5, spent most of his reign as pawn in the intrigues of his father's advisors, who murdered his mother. It was a lot of murder, just shifting for power and stations, and we can see that to this day. Same modus operandi. Instability in the court of Alexandria allowed Syrian forces under Antiochus III to occupy all of Asia Minor and Palestine. 194 BCE, Rome finally brokered a peace settlement between the rival Macedonian regimes, which resulted in Ptolemy's marriage to Antiochus' daughter Cleopatra I. His sudden death, quote unquote, at the age 30 left her as regent of Egypt. Ironically, Ptolemy's most important act for later history was the direct product of his weakness as a ruler. In an attempt to quell native uprisings in Egypt, Ptolemy's guardian staged a traditional Egyptian coronation at Memphis in 196 BCE, issued a decree celebrating him as the manifestation of divine grace, hence by his name, and to encourage his cult. Now they're putting this as a cult. The declaration portrayed the young king as a benefactor of Egypt, who adorned the temples of Egypt's traditional gods, canceled debts, reduced taxes, freed prisoners, and pardoned any rebels who went back to farming. So again, as our National Assistant Grand Sheik was speaking about, our people weren't just sitting around letting you just come on in and think you're going to do anything. We were rebelling. We were fighting against this. Let's see. Now, so thanks to a weak king's propaganda offensive to win the support of his subjects, 19th century British and French scholars, especially Thomas Younger and Jean-Francois Champollion, were able to decipher the hieroglyphic script in which Egyptian documents and inscriptions have been written for over 3,000 years. And we know that's a remix right there. And then you have the references. And then the second person that I picked, as did Dr. Bati Bey, was Arsenal of Egypt, a retelling of the royal rebel against Rome. And I tell you, as I was going over these things, it was just so much back and forth, murder, killing, setup, backstabbing. But yet you're going to set yourselves up as you worship me, bow down to me, and I'll, hand you out a couple of trinkets or what have you, because even though we've heard a lot about Cleopatra, Arsenal was her younger sister. And she was and she was a teenager at this time, Arsenal. She was just as ambitious and political as Cleopatra, but she was buried literally and figuratively before her treacherous tale could be told, so they say, okay? And then it just goes into the depths to which Arsenal wanted to compete against her sister Cleopatra, who was gravitating toward Ptolemy because she was in favor of bringing the two nations together, where Arsenal was on the rebellious state to no, we're not merging with anything. And so in essence, the end of that is that Cleopatra, by her having the ear of Ptolemy, he ended up exiling Arsenal back to Rome, and they were dragging her around in chains, but they looking at her as a teenager that was crying now because she's out of her location and in a foreign land in chains. And so they knew if they took her off the count right then and there, then the people would be against them. But in the end, she ended up getting taken off the count anyway. So this back and forth, up and down, demonic degrees just to overthrow people that were demonstrating the laws of truth, right order, justice, etc. was just it was a lot. And then to see how with the Rosetta Stone here today, we're honoring that because we don't have the actual true records. Most of our people don't have the actual true records of what demonizing was done. And when you usurp on a special people, then you are the one that dictates what history goes down. And so the criminal is not going to have himself in a bad light. So that's just my measure, because I tell you, most of my time was looking at the backstories and the backdrops of the demonstration, but that's my measure as far as my assignment last night. Islam? Islam?
Islam. Can you hear me, Grand National Secretary of State?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Gratitude and great job on going into those different areas and exposing, the lies and deception. People don't understand how important this is, when it comes to dealing with understanding this Rosetta Stone. Because before you promote any particular document, you should know the background behind it. But many people have been solely running with the story. Oh, Champollion, came with the Rosetta Stone and he deciphered. And what people fail to realize, and we keep telling them, is that he didn't even have the physical stone. He had a replica of the physical stone. You see, and we understand that this stone was created by the Ptolemy. So that in and of itself will let you know where the buck stops at, so to speak. However, when we go further into it, we look at all of the stories, and you go all the way into the end. There's a statement that's made at the very end of the document, and it lets you know that that's when they actually created the stone. That's when they made it, that they were the creators of it. So nobody can lie to you and tell you that this was created by the ancient Egyptians. So the question is, what does the Rosetta Stone even have to do with ancient Kemet? You see what I'm saying? What does the Rosetta Stone have to do with ancient Kemet, family? Nothing at all. And so once you understand these things, of course, it becomes a threat to modern Western academia that continue to push the narrative, of the Rosetta Stone as being a tool of decipherment, because, like I said before, we have our people out here who will go in opposition to us, saying all the time, just because Rome said something now, they'll go saying all the time, well, the Moors was the ones that enslaved our people, but they're giving the Ptolemies a pass by promoting this Rosetta Stone. They letting the Ptolemies get away with, this nonsense. So, it's a very crazy situation that's going on here, family. When we look at everything for what it really is, and we see exactly what has been done, so to speak, it's a terrible situation. Even in going into the history, and I went over it numerous times. I showed our people numerous times where these people have done what they done, and so forth and so on. But the problem is that most of our people love slavery so much. They love the Romans so much to where they continue to eat it up, so to speak. No matter what you tell them, no matter what you show them, they still want to hold on to that because and the reason being because they have been teaching this stuff for so long, talking about that they translating, the hieroglyphics. They can teach you metal netta. So now they don't want to go back on their word, so to speak. They don't want to stand up and be men, for the brothers that's out here demonstrated. They don't want to get out here, family, and tell you the truth and say, well, we were in error, because they make a living off of fleecing our people. Unfortunately now, and so this is a terrible situation where we have many disingenuous so-called chematologists among us that are still lying to our people, not being honest with our people as to what really happened and what was really going on, So it's a terrible situation, family. And we done put this stuff out there over and over and over again. We use the hammer of repetition. We now just going into the papyri now, and showing our people what's happening so that we can begin to teach our people, the proper aspect of understanding the language and where it come from. Because we already showed you that, because people keep asking, well, how in the world can you translate something? Where do you get the translation? We already showed you where the alphabet lie at. All you got to do is go from hieratic to what we call Phoenician, and right there, that's where you find your methodology of being able to truly decipher, what in the particular text, so to speak. You don't need even to come up into the realm of dealing with anything else outside of that, you know. And so that's where the work is going to have to be done at, and that's what we getting ready to do, so to speak, you know, because that's why we seeing a lot of different strong words, words that are in all of the languages, because it's really coming from one root, as our brother Mustafa Gadala would say. You know, we give honors to our elder Walter Williams for always emphasizing the difference between pictures in the Egyptian Demotic and the Egyptian Hieratic. You see? And even when we come down to dealing with what they like to call Greek language, we know there's no such thing as Greek language either. It's really Hikapta, a remixed version of Hikapta. You see? So, I mean, we can go all the way in, even into the Arabic. We found that the Arabic derives actually from the Demotic. You know, so everybody has taken something from Kemet. Everybody has taken a particular portion of ancient Kemet and brought forth their own creation. You see, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. But is not the master of the house more honorable than its walls? You see? So, yeah, these are some, man, when we get into this demonstration, we understand exactly what it is that has been brought to us, you know, and want to give honors again to the scribes, because we have really went into this particular measure in a way that no one has prior to us. And anybody that has seen the work that we have done the last few years on here, you know, cannot help, if they are honest, but admit, you know, that the jig is up, you know, and that we have exposed everything that has been superimposed upon ancient Kemet by those who were not of the ancient Kemetic bloodline. Hands down. If not us, then who did it before us? And it ain't even a matter of us doing it first or being last to do it. But what I'm getting at is this information has been out here all these years. And you mean to tell me none of those who claim to be chematologists amongst our people, or even the ones who think they Egyptians, Egyptologists among our, you mean to tell me they didn't bring this forth to us? You mean to tell me, as knowledgeable as they claim to be, that they didn't have this information to tell you what happened? No, they knew that if they told you this, then you would look at that Rosetta Stone, you know, with a different lens, under a different lens. You see? That's why they didn't want to tell you. And that's why I say a lot of them are disingenuous. Even the ones that you think are the elders that taught these things. Some of them didn't know, and some of them may have known. If they didn't know, we give them a pass and say we excuse their ignorance of this special measure. And we don't say that, you know, to be disrespectful. They just didn't know. You see? But those who do know, and they basically seek to blackball this information, you know, and they try to do it in a slick way. So they learn well from Massa how to use the tactics of the slave master. So a lot of them act like they want to hear this information while at the same time going in opposition to the expose, so to speak, or the exposing of this information to the public. They don't want it to be brought to the manifest, family. You know, so actions speak louder than words. They can make their mouth fry pork chop. You know, that's something a Muslim don't eat. You know, so when it come down to dealing with that aspect right there, in and of itself, like I said, it's a whole lot, family. You know, when it comes to dealing with the history, you know, of everything that is taking place and everything that's been going on, you know, it's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we over here doing the work. Y'all just stay on point, because we getting ready to come forth with these measures as we told you we would. And you know, we're gonna dispel all the falsehood. You know, you seen that we literally had to build in our methodology from the ground up, and y'all was right here on the front line, many of y'all with us while we were building, you know, and trying to give our people understanding. So everything that we have, every conclusion that we have came to, is based upon an attestation that is dealing with primary source material. You see, that's the key, because everybody else just been talking about why this ain't that and how this gonna be this, and if you got the proof, show me the proof. Well, we done showed you the proof umpteen million times over. Now what you gonna do? You gonna shoot it? You gonna dribble it? You gonna face the music, or you gonna act constantly in a state of being in denial of the truth? You see, this is very important, family. You know, because we put all this stuff out here. Like I said, I showed you. We're gonna do this real quick. I'm gonna pull this up. Let me see. Just give me 1 second here. It look like we got a little freeze going on there. Yeah. So yeah, many people are upset with us for bringing this information out, family. That's real. You know, and I'm gonna come over here again, because you know we showed our people who these people are. You know, even in the realm of the measure that we have, what we showed, you know, what the stolen legacy was. We put that out there, you know, and they mocked it. They laughed at it, and oh, that's a slideshow. Well, what are you presenting anytime you in a debate, as they like to call it? Is it not a slideshow? You see, in order to demonstrate to the public what it is that you have to teach them, do you not need a slideshow to do that? Make it make sense. So let me come over here real quick. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to run it down in this measure, because it's always good to put, you know, the sources next to the information, and the scribes already brought the information out. So again, I'm going to present this screen. We're going to use the hammer repetition here, you know, because sometimes our people, you put it in front of them and they don't even see it, and they have no idea what it is until later on they may go back and watch it and see what's going on. So I got 2 documents here that I compiled. Some of you may be familiar with it, some may not be familiar with it. And this is also for those who may come across this video and they need to see it anyway. You know, this stolen legacy document here, which I actually have a video online too, you know, where I break this whole thing down. You know, I went into the science of the Kiftihu, you know, which is really, if you go into sound shifting, you can see that the P being interchangeable with this right here, you know, you can see it will become like Coptic connection to Coptic Kiftihu. But this is an old name, you know, that was used by some of the Egyptians, a section of them, you know, Coptic Kifti. And I just put the 7 right here because this was actually like a plane sphere measure that's dealing with these 4 directions that was demonstrated during that time, and it reminded me of the circle 7. So, you know, we just put a little science in there. So this is how they looked. And there are certain traits that you pay attention to here. You see, the hair, and which those are actually locks too, by the way. You know, this is another picture of them actually in stone here. You see? And we already know that they, a lot of times we found out comedically the way one's hair, the headdress that they wore represented, you know, a particular status of where they were along the way. You know, so we went into a lot of this here because people have to understand, even the people that are called Greek, you know, like I told them, you know, this language that they are talking about is not even a language that exists in reality, because it tells you here, it says, Dr. Murray says that Coptic is an original tongue. So they'll tell you that the Coptic came from Greek. You know, the Coptic is original tongue, for it derives all its indeclinable words and particles from radicals pertaining to itself. So if it's telling you this, then it's telling you that Coptic did not come from no Greek, like they've been lying to you and telling you it did. This is all, again, superimposing themselves in history. If their words, particles, all come from radicals pertaining to itself, that means there is no foreign element in the original language, you know, of the people that was known as Copts. So even the Coptic is of the natives, not of the Greeks, like they lie to you. But you got these so-called chematologists out here on platform that's supposed to be for us teaching this nonsense. There is no mixture of any foreign language in its composition. We're going to say it again. There is no mixture of any foreign language in its composition. So Coptic is pure in itself. It did not come from the Greek language. You see, the foreign that comes into the mixture of it is when the so-called Greek demonstration comes on to manifest, meaning when they start trying to remix it, basically. That's why it says except Greek, you know, and this is basically their formulation of what they like to call their language. So, you know, most of the biblical Old Testament was translated into Egyptian, you know, and a lot of this is dealing with the Coptic script. We showed y'all this, you know, we showed y'all this before. You see, and you blow it up here, you see again, there is the Coptic alphabet here, and then what they want to call the Greek, and it's really the same thing, family. You know, so if the Coptic is original and it didn't have foreign elements, then that means the Coptic had to be before the Greek. All the Greek did is remove certain letters out of the Coptic, like 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and well, actually 7. Well, actually that was 6. But anyway, they removed, well, their particular portion and came up with another measure. So what I did in following up with this, I showed what the original Copts or the Kifti who looked like. You see? And you can see here where they have different pictures up here, right? Hold up. Here's a picture of Hannibal. And it goes on to show different pictures from different time periods, right? You even see the brother with the dashiki on here. You know, you got to measure up here. These are all like your people that was over there originally inhabited in Greece. You see the melanated pictures. We showed y'all this before, but I want to emphasize on something here. When we get into, because they also call them Minoans and Etruscans, like the Etruscan here. You know, see the dark melanated skin, 700 BC. I want to focus on the timeline until we get up close to the timeline of the Rosetta Stone, so we can see what the people look like during that time. Even though we've seen that a lot of the rulers when they pulled them up, like Bati Bey did, he showed you, the European. I showed you a lot of that before too. A lot of them rulers, your different rulers that are mentioned in the Rosetta Stone, they definitely Eurocentric. So this is another, bust of one from that particular time. So we get up to 600 BC. This is an Etruscan terracotta relief. We see still one is looking as we look, so to speak. You have probably even seen people that look like this particular brother right here. You know what I mean? I know they look like people that I know. I done seen some people look like this. This one here is Etruscan, measure from 500 BC. These are the name Etruscan here, 500 BC. That's another picture. Seen a brother that looked like that too. Know a brother that looked like that. This right here is 500 BC, Etruscan again. See, this is who we would call. See, 400 to 300 BC. This is how ones were looking during that time. This is where they get the concept of Roman nigger from. This is where Noble Drew Ali said, the Italian, the reason why they so mean, because they're nothing more than a cross between us and the European, the Moors and the European, but yeah. You have right here. Now this is 100 AD. This is a Roman bust after the Greeks, and you see that the phenotype and the expression in the color is still there. You know good and well that ain't no Roman. Just pay attention to it, people. All the way up into this modern time. All this is like, Greek and Roman bust, so to speak. This is 200 BC. This has been like maybe about 15 years, or 14 years, so to speak, from the time that the Rosetta was created, stone was created. But this is a sister, because this is from 200 BC. You see? And the Rosetta Stone was created 196 BC, right? So, let's go. Let's see. So here it is right here. Same thing. Different measures on here, family. Look at all of that. It's just, I mean, when you look at that and you can see it, you can see that our people was definitely on the manifest during the time, of even Alexander. They definitely, and I'm just showing you the people that would have been considered so-called Greeks and Romans. Even when it comes to that aspect, our people done been bamboozled, family. And so, once you see all of this right here, okay, I see how people got some colors. Some questions in here. What is called a relief? A relief is a bas relief in most cases. They call them bas reliefs. But in most cases, family, when we get up here and look at the bas reliefs, that's what the columns and stuff, what they normally record certain things on. Let me see here. And so the Rosetta Stone itself wouldn't be considered a relief, but it would be considered more of just a stone, a piece of a stone that they found. You know what I mean? And pardon myself, I want to make a correction, because when we get into the aspect of dealing with also the term Greek, like I said, Greek is certainly more modern. When you hear the term Etruscans, Minoans, Kiftihu, You know, these are the terminology that actually refer to the native born people. I want to make that plain and clear. So you see, like I said, the Rosetta Stone, you know, is a stele of Grandorian rite, as they call it, inscribed with 3 versions of a decree issued in 196 BC during the Ptolemaic dynasty of Egypt on the behalf of King Ptolemy the Fifth. You see, in the top and middle text, it says in ancient Egyptian, using hieroglyphic and Demotic scripts, and we found out that a lot of that stuff is doctored. You see? And it said it made it a stone key to deciphering the Egyptian scripts. Now, the problem with this, the 3 languages that's on the Rosetta Stone, as they like to call it, they say it's the hieroglyphics, it's Demotic, and the Greek. So Champollion is supposed to decipher the ancient Egyptian language, but most of the papyri that we find is in hieratic. So if the Book of the Dead was originally in hieratic, if the Book of Ptahhotep was originally in hieratic, and there is no hieratic on the Rosetta Stone in the same equation of all of the other 3 languages, so-called hieroglyphs, Greek, and this, how in the world can you say that Champollion deciphered any hieratic papyri? Unless you are admitting that there has been, you know, the hiding of a language. Let that marinate a bit. Let that sit in. Ain't no hieratic on the stone nowhere, but you mean to tell me Champollion's document that he used, which was really a replica of what was original, because he hadn't seen the real Rosetta Stone. He wasn't even using the real Rosetta Stone in his process of decipherment. Then he later seen the real Rosetta Stone. Come on, man, make it make sense. You can't tell me no anything and I'm going to eat that up. What's wrong with our people? Now they want to fight against the truth, but somebody bring some falsehood to them and just tell them what it is, and it sounds good, and they running with it. And you can put the document right out there in front of them, and they still buck and rebel. You see? And let me show our family too, who was asking us a question real quick here. Actually, I was looking for this. Well, they got it right here. Yeah. See right here, like this is what they did with their bass release, right? And they put them like in different stone, you know, on columns and everything. You know, this is where your bass relief is, you know, but the Rosetta Stone is an actual, more of an artifact than anything. You know what I mean? A lot of these bass reliefs that were created, whether they are on columns or on walls, a lot of these bas reliefs were created by means of just the same methodology. If you ever seen somebody pour concrete in your community, whether it be a driveway or anything, I know back in the day, you know, we had a habit of, we wanted to write our initials, you know, in the wet mud, right after they get through pouring it. In the apartment complex or projects that I come up in, we'll go over there while the mud was wet and we'll draw our little name in there. We get 20, 30 years old, if we were there, our name will still be in that concrete. You see what I'm saying? And this is the same thing when we deal with a lot of the measures of ancient Kemet. That was their methodology of basically demonstrating what they demonstrated. Like the Europeans said, ain't no way in the world you can take that hard stone and try to etch into it, you know, without seeing imperfections. But if you catch it while it's wet mud and you stamp, like it says, holy engravings or holy impressions, that's the real definition of hieroglyph. If you stamp it, then, you know, it will be more perfected. And that's why in ancient Kemet, when you seen the images of the glyphs in the wall, they were perfect. You can look to a whole nother column around the corner and it will be the same image as the one before, because they wasn't drawing them in stone, people. They were stamping them in the wet mud and letting them dry. And then they would add color to these demonstrations. That's the methodology. We're going to do that one day too. We're going to try to find our own stampings or whatever. We're going to get us some wet mud. We might do a little project and present it to our family. I think we need to do that to show you how our ancestors demonstrated, because that's how they would do it, you know, under education apparatus. You know what I mean? So that in and of itself says a whole lot, family. That says a whole lot. You know, we really got to pay attention to this. You know, it don't get no plainer than the truth. So, yeah, that being said, I don't really have to say a whole lot more. I just want to go back to my scribes. You know, well, I did want to show our people this right here, though. I did mean to show this too. Don't want to go past that because I had intent to share that, so I'm gonna share that with you. You know, I had the stolen legacy measure that I just showed you, but now I'm showing you, and then a lot of this is stuff that I was getting ready to use when I was going into a dialogue with whoever wanted it, but they made sure that never happened. They hyped the people up like they wanted it to happen, but no, they made sure that never happened because they already knew what it was. But at least in the end, I gotta say it, the brother admitted that my methodology was correct. Our methodology is correct in the way that we've been demonstrating. So, you know, it really ain't no need for conversation after that. But this is what I was saying. When you look at these particular measures here, you know, that were put here, a lot of these were stampings in wet mud. They simply have wet mud. You know, they draw their lines. You know, in most cases, they probably had a apparatus that they can stick on it, you know, to make the lines, the columns that they make. And then they just put the impressions, you know, in the these different areas, you know. But anyway, let me go further, because I want to get down here. And I always show this right here when I was showing how they had come in and actually start by right here. You know, like I showed y'all before, Alexander the Greek, and this is a few, maybe about 200 some years prior to the Ptolemies start doing their thing. Alexander had already went in there. So this was the Alexandrian version, you know, of being a pharaoh. But then they run down the line of the Ptolemies that come on the manifest behind him all the way up to this particular time period. The Rosetta Stone period would have been between, you know, this area here, Ptolemy the Fifth, which we actually just mentioned a few minutes ago. You know what I mean? And then you have those who came before him. So they have a long line and 200-year head start even prior to. Remember, the last Egyptian pharaoh was on the manifest 360 BC. So, you know, when you look at the statues in Egypt from 300 BC, which would have been the Alexandrian period, you know, up to the Ptolemaic period, you know, like I showed you, this is what you find. This is a bas relief right here with Ptolemies there, you know, and all of this is trying to act as if they are more ancient than they are. This is some the same measures here. Look at this. Ptolemy before Isis and Osiris. This is Ptolemy the 12th, right? So if I were to go up here, let's see, Ptolemy the 12th, that Ptolemy the 12th would have came down around between this period somewhere. Well, actually over here, pardon self, because that's 10 and that's 2. So yeah, this is it. This is 80 BC, 80 years before Christ. So this particular image right here comes on the manifest, and then we can tell by the name. See what I'm saying? So this is 80 years before Jesus was supposed to be born, according to the history, right? Christ, before Christ. Here's the Ptolemies right here. Them put themselves on here. Now, if you didn't know nothing about Kemet outside of what was told you, you'd think that these were ancient Egyptian works here. You know what I mean? And even during this time period, if you pay attention, they be talking about reading it in a certain direction. And we see that these are most definitely just decor, because this one is facing the east and this one is facing the west. You know, so this is just decoration. And you can see the redundancy. None of this stuff right here, if you were to put this in front of the people talking about they can read, they couldn't even read this with Champollion's methodology, because it's just wall decor. You see? So, you know, our people, it's something else. They got to stop letting these people mislead them like that. So, I ain't going. I know that right there. Me and my scribe, we are not going for the okie doke. So, when you go to talking about Roman and so forth, that's even a whole nother measure, because this is those who came behind the Greeks, which is of the same lineage to a certain degree. But look at this. I keep showing our people, they think it be a game. And some of this stuff actually look like it have a more modern look to it, like they just put some of this stuff on there today. This don't even have the antiquity on it. If you look at the way these glyphs are, they don't have the antiquity on them. Just my opinion, personally, that a lot of the old measures have on them when our ancestors on the manifest. Here it is again. Same process. We can see that the Ptolemies didn't care nothing about the direction. We see it again here. Here they go looking this way. Here go another looking. They looking east and west at each other. These images. So if they read a certain way, then what in the world is going on here? You know, and there they go again, trying to be like us. Knowing good and well Ptolemy right here, this little Ptolemy with Egyptian gods, and then this Eurocentric looking, pale skin looking woman here. And then they got Heru over here. You know, in most cases, they just took the original image of the real pharaoh out and refurbished the face to look like Ptolemy. If you notice here, you can see it. You know, where they look at this nose right here, where they done carved in and tried to chisel it in and remix it. You know, look at this. And then put their little images on it. That's another methodology too. You see? So yeah, we seen all this stuff, even knowing how to hold these temples like Dendera. They were remixed temples. Even they didn't just remix the deity, they remixed the temples too. That's what I was talking about before too, when I was talking about the bas reliefs, and they have writings on some of these. This right here, you can tell that, you know, they wasn't done reconstructing this. You know, but this one right here was the telltale that they definitely were using that drill, man. They were going to work with that drill. I don't care what nobody say. Look at that. This looked just like the same way that we looked at that Rosetta Stone and seen them little, you know, etchings on it. Look at this. You know, they think that I just be making this stuff up. Look at this. Chiseled out. They were getting ready to remix it. Oh man, I never even looked up here on this part. Look at that. Look at that. They done chiseled everything up out of here, family. And this ain't got nothing to do with Napoleon or the Arabs or nothing. This look more even moderate too. It could have been ancient, but it looked more moderate. Look at all of that. You know, even Islam does not go for this. The desecration of historical monuments. Look at all of that. I never even went all the way up into this thing. See, they got some of it still there up here. They ain't chiseled on it like they chiseled on that bottom. So the bottom was close to it. You see what I'm saying? The bottom was close to her. They started chiseling on this sister here, but they didn't finish it like they had did this over here. See how they did the nose and the face, and all they got to do after they get the form, you know, they can basically replace their own likeness over that, smooth it out, you know, and put themselves up in there. Islam, Grand Secretary of the State. I know
Pardon yourself. Yes. Can you please go up to that upper right? It looks like they took the whole face out.
Yeah, they did on a couple of them. Which one? That
one right there.
Sorry about that. I think that I'm blowed it up too big. No, there it go right there. Okay, you talking about right over here?
Yes.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Took the face right on out.
Yep, that's exactly what they did. That was Heru. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Like, but I didn't even notice this when I was showing this, even though I seen the big ones. I didn't even notice, Grand Secretary of the State, that they had chiseled this.
That's terrible.
I didn't even know that. See how this one is still there.
Yeah.
And this is the same type of thing that was done with the Rosetta Stone. You know? And then they come forth with images like this. You know, and this is actually from, they're calling it the Teptinus, and they actually talk about Teptinus in the text, that the corpus. They got some stuff in there on that. See, Greco-Roman Museum. This is a base inscribed for Ptolemy right here, the 12th, the same one that we was talking about earlier, 55 BC. Look at it with a so-called Greek, which we know is really Hecopter, you know. And so me going back through this thing, I'm seeing stuff I didn't see before myself. Look at that. This is arsenal.
You can see some of the noses and lips being chiseled off.
See what that say?
Yep, Arsenal, Philadelphia. Man, this is crazy right here. So,
I seen the version of it saying Arsenal was a female, but I also seen the Arsenal that was a man. Here's another drawing here. This is from, and this is good that we know the time. This is 30 BC. This is 30 years before Christ is born. Augustus as Pharaoh. Right here. Which they was calling Alexander the Great in the other thing that I had. So you see that there? When I was showing you up top, they saying Augustus here. And this shows you that they don't even know how to deal with their own history. Now look in this timeline, right? That's the same face. Right there. Look at that. And they calling Alexander the Great here. And then down in the other, they calling the Augustus. See, we done caught them again. I wasn't even looking for that. You know what I mean? Goodness gracious. So who is it? Augustus or Alexander the Great now? Y'all make up y'all mind and stop lying. Like the chairman say, who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes? And I don't even think they can believe their lying eyes after this one right here. Look at this. This is from Alexandria here, 3rd century BC. Greco-Roman Museum. So that Greco-Roman Museum got a lot of this stuff up in there. You know, we even show how they tried to come up with their own version of Anpu or Anubis. You know, you can see all the
Anubis out their mouth.
Yeah. And then look at right here. Look at him. As Eurocentric as they want to be. And look at him. Now you know good and well this. Look at this Greco-Roman, and then look down up under it. How you gonna mix that? How you gonna mix that with that? This is terrible. You know, this is terrible, family. You know, and then I got the links here. I actually had a live links where you can click on them, you know, and go right into it. But it ain't no need for me going there right now. And this is, you can see, remember I was telling you how a lot of this stuff is plastered you know, on wall. This is where some of it is broken off over here. See where that is falling from the wall or whatever the case may be. And you can see where they were trying, almost like they were practicing how to create their own glyphs, because this came from a later time period. You know, this is I have the book there too on that. This is from, and this is the courtesy of Fort Scaff, the same one that was talking about the Rosetta Stone. This is cryptographic RAM inscription. Remember I was telling you about the cryptographic Ptolemaic writing? Look at that. So they were trying to produce their RAM, and they kept doing that over and over. So let somebody try to read that. What's the meaning of that, since y'all think y'all know so much? Because that's redundance. This is a replication of the RAM over and over and over again. Is that an inscription to be read? Or is that an inscription that's just wall decor? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on. And so and even here we had the drawing here where it says the designation Ptolemaic hieroglyphs is used by Egyptologists to refer to the script employed by the scribes of Egyptian temples after the conquest of Egypt by Alexander. So everything that came behind the conquest of Alexander the Great into the end of the 2nd century, also called figurative or cryptographic hieroglyphs. You know what figurative means? So if all this right here came later and it was supposed to be figurative and cryptographic from their standpoint, then what is it that you read? So, you know, yeah, I just wanted to show our family this, you know, so that they will be able to see what's really going on here, family. You know, because they done bamboozled our people. I'm going to just say it that way right there. You can't get past it, you know, but it's necessary that we show these things. And that's why you seen me put this together again. And all this right here go back to Western Freemasonry. So the secret that they've been holding back is that the 33rd Egyptian dynasty, which is the Ptolemaic dynasty, is synonymous with their 33rd degree. This is why they always try to make that they claim to fame. And look, right here, even in their jewel, we got them. Book them, Dano. Murder one. Murder one. Now look up here. And then they're going to be disrespectful and turn Allah upside down. You see what I'm saying? On that big arm here, you see it right there in the jewel. So you already know what this is saying. This is very disrespectful. Between the bingo clause, which some people think is the crescent. No, this is the representation of a snare. You see? In other words, they're trying to say they have caught our Godhead in the snare. You see? How you going to have arm, leg, arm, head, and head upside down? Make it make sense, people. Shouldn't arm, leg, arm, and head be up here?
Yes.
Your head ain't got no business doing down there. But anyway, so when we go right here, the Moorish American is the secret of the 33rd degree. And I put all this together because, you know, it came to me. So I say I got to try to make it plain. So it ain't strange now that Napoleon, that's Napoleon right there, was called Sovereign Grand Inspector General, right, of Egypt. And that's the 33rd degree, though. Napoleon was the one that went in there. Same dude that was supposed to be down with Champollion and trying to promote his works too, and the Hamitic hypotheses, talking about the Caucasian was the Egyptian. That's why I strike Napoleon from my DNA when they say that I'm supposed to be related to him down the line. You know, that's the part right there, the falsehood that was on the manifest, if you ask me somewhere. But it wasn't but a small percentage, because I'm 85% of sub-Saharan West African coming straight up out of Kemet. So that little 1-2% don't amount to nothing. But the main thing is this 33rd Sovereign Grand Inspector General. He was the one that took Egyptian masonry into Egypt. So you see how this was the last blow right here. This is why they praise that 33rd degree so much. Novus Ordo Seclorum, new order of the world. This is the new Egypt. How we say new era in time, to them, this was their new era in time. And these are images that come out of the ceiling right here of the Grand Lodge, and they have that symbol with the all-seeing eye, and the Moroccan flag in between the two pillars, Boaz and Yakin. That's in the Grand Lodge of England. When you go and look up in the ceiling, that's one of the directions anyway. So in here, that's where I broke it down. I say over 3,000 year period, ancient Egypt was ruled by 33 different dynasties. This is the 33rd time period, Ptolemaic period, 330-230 BC. Egypt is ruled by the people of Greek and Macedonian descent, 32nd dynasty, Macedonian, 323 BC. Then 33rd dynasty, Ptolemy, which is 323 to 30 BC. So we see during this time period, where all this come from. Events. After the death of Alexander the Great, one of his generals, Ptolemy I, seizes control. Many Greek and Macedonian settlers are recruited into the army and government. Greek culture is encouraged. So we see what happened when these Greek people came in here. Egyptian cities and monuments are given Greek names. There it go. There it go. The Ptolemies are fascinated with Egyptian religion and culture. Pictures of the Ptolemies are made in Egyptian style. Ptolemaic rulers are looked upon as divine. Ptolemies follow the ancient Egyptian custom of rulers intermarrying within the family. Many temples are built for the Egyptian gods. Greek gods became identified with Egyptian gods and are often combined. Egyptian gods are given Greek names. Under the Ptolemaic Egypt seizes control of Judea for a time, and there are power struggles within the Seleucid dynasty. Alexandria becomes a major center of trade, learning, and culture. The Library of Alexandria is built, and then the Pharos, or the Lighthouse of Alexandria, is built in 270 BC. Egypt becomes very wealthy, but it mostly benefits from the monarchy. It says in the Greek officials, native Egyptians are heavily taxed and exploited. So you just seen this in the Rosetta Stone. So is anything that I said up here a lie so far based on what you heard the scribes give? And this is just me compiling the events that took place. Notes, I have also included the names of queens and pharaohs and their queens placed together, ringing queens marked with the star. But anyway, it goes on. I had put this down here. I said, message to the black man. I say, black according to science means death. Then I hit him with Matthews 24 and 28 of the King James Version. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. So now you understand the double-headed eagle, which is a symbol of the 33rd degree of Western Freemasonry. See it above the imperial crown? Wheresoever the carcass is, black people, dead people, the eagle shall be gathered together. So where you find a bunch of dead in the head Negroes, and so-called colored and black people, well, you already know that is some heads of Western Freemasonry somewhere pulling the strings, the puppet master. So I just wanted to say that right there and stand down. And at this time, we're going to go back to our scribe, our Grand National Secretary of the State, and we'll go back to our other scribe, Brother Bati Bey, and we'll close it out. So Islam Grand National Secretary of the State, we'll call our chairman too. We definitely want to hear from him. Islam Grand Secretary of the State, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you more. Gratitude.
Gratitude, Islam.
No, I tell you, Dr. Shahid, I can't see these demonstrations and degrees enough, because just like the prophet speaks about that hammer of repetition, this is something that we need to keep out in the forefront, because it falls right in line with when our prophet speaks about knowledge of history and reliance upon a law. And, just in going back because when you had presented this before, I didn't notice those little chisel marks or what have you, like, and definitely didn't see where the face was actually pulled out. You could see him in the midst of the crime, and had the situation been reversed where we go into any European nation talking about taking out any treasures and putting it up in our museums, you wouldn't even have made it out the demonstration, so it's definitely time for the Moors to step up, take their place in the affairs of men, and all of these things, that they hold as great treasures, and these are the spoils of war and things of that nature. This belongs to us as a people, and I just give so much honor to the class, to Act One, and our government and the Scribes online and our family online, because this is what we have to pass down to the future guiders of the nation, so that they can have a clear understanding of why we are here, what our history is, and it's glorious and beautiful. And like you said, every nation has benefited from it. And then when you want to sit there and just strip nationality and creed from a special people and make one think that you ain't about nothing, will never amount to nothing, etc., that really messes with the psyche, which is why our prophet speaks about mental slavery. So just in giving honor to you for bringing forth the assignment, because the more we go into these things, like Dr. Bonte Bay was speaking about, it's horrific. It is horrific. Yeah, our people were definitely fighting, rebelling, and just like we see today. They know that there's an issue. They know that there's a problem, but Allah is due to praise, because nothing happens without law governing all events. So it's a reason why we are here now. And it's a reason why we are studying these special lessons. It said this is a new era of time where truth has been revealed. And indeed, you do much honor, along with Act One, for putting in the research and making these things plain and brought to light. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin.
Gratitude to you as well, Grand National Secretary of State, for all that you do. One thing it is, they can't lie to the Moors about the Rosetta Stone no more. You can't sell that snake oil to the people now. Islam. Well, let us call forth our Grand National Chairman. I know he got his pant leg rolled up. Islam.
Islam, can you hear me?
Islam, Grand Man. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Oh, man. It's a powerful topic. I want to give praise to Allah and honor to the Prophet Noble Dwali. Said much, much honor to the Prophet for bringing us everything that it take to save a nation. And when you go into this history here, there with that Rosetta Stone, man, you talking about the man, we had to deal with the remix of the whole Roman concert. It's just a powerful thing, man. So I want to just give much, much honor to the Prophet Noble Dwali for bringing us the wisdom that it takes to save a nation. And with this is what we had. That's why we got our own flag, free national documentation, seal, and emblem, and everything. Well, this is a powerful class, and man, thank you. I'm just so pumped up about it. Islam is without the schism. Peace, more. Love you.
Islam ism without the schism. Yes, sir. And we love you, Chairman. We moving ahead in the same spirit that you came forth with in the Book of Fire. You exposed a lot of this stuff, as well indirectly. And all we did is come right here on the manifest and support what it is that you had already put out there. And they can see it. So if people want to be blind now, then they chose to be hoodwinked. Ain't nobody even making them go that way now. They just want to be that way. Or like you would say, Chairman, they just dead in the head. Islam. unfortunately. So let us call our brother Bati Bey back to the manifest, brother, and you can take us on into the highest degree of elevation.
Yes.
As you close out, Islamism without the schism.
Islam. This again, this is like you said before, this is some monumental work being done by our people. We're not looking for no degrees from what they call masters, because we know that in that lies a deep deception, that you're being trained to think outside the self and outside your comfortability of your own compass of right and wrong. And when we're looking at, this is exposing, this is also show people how to do research, and no longer fear the research, but get more people on the road to doing research. Because when we do this, let's not just not put it in the aspects of the Rosetta Stone, but all the way around the board when it comes down to all the sciences that the Moors have brought forth. We're going to see that there's a lot of difference between what one would have you believe as opposed to what the truth is. You know what I'm saying? And even with the medical aspect of it, saying that there's these diseases and there's viruses, when we know that now that's been coming out to light, and it's been backed up by a lot of different people that most I'm not going to say different people, but I'm going to say most of the self-studied doctors or self-studied herbalists out there, they're telling you that all diseases come from parasites, yet they have you believing that this is something incurable or something that can't be done. This is why it's imperative that we do our own research. We have to have our own modalities of science. We have to have every aspect that you see in the Western world. We're not shaming the thought process of what they have brought forth, but we need to have our own. We're the only group of people that rely on the system of another to feed us and to take care of us, and knowing that when we're looking at the facts, that they don't have our well-being in mind. And so when we're doing things of this nature, and you see brother Yaki, you see Yada, you see Dr. Alola Africa, and Sabi, and all these ones that are coming out even on that aspect, we have other aspects that have to be done, and we have to centralize it underneath what we have here, being our own flag, seal, emblem, our own nation, and our own free national name, in order to show the world that we are ready, as the God has said, being taking, us, standing up in the affairs of men. We are now men and women when we have a free national name, and so this is what we must do. This is part of the process, and I think that once people start doing their own research and demystifying the junk and the propaganda that's been put out by the Western world and all these ones that were in cahoots with them, we're gonna the technology that we're gonna be able to produce will change the world once again. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just what was on my mind. So with that, I'm gonna read the warning. Islam. January 15th, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while they work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, true peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings towards the government or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If the if they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in the card button, cease wearing the turban of fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. If the prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islam. And we now read the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Chapter 48. The Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued in you all, to your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. Peace and love, family. Gratitude, your participation. Islam.
Great class. Gratitude.
Great class.
Peace and
Islam.
love, family. Great job.
Peace
Love
and
you.
love. Love
Peace and
y'all.
love.
Islam. Islam.
How many people was on the call?
And Islam and peace and love to you as well, family. We just say gratitude, Islamism without the schism, and the best is yet to come. I want to give honors to all the scribes who demonstrated. Y'all did a grand job. Many are called, but few are chosen. You know, our beloved brother, all of them that showed up, Barn Dog, Atham 79, Lions Den, Queen Karima, we give honors to you. FS Drathio, honors to you as well, family. You know, keep showing the people these lessons. I'm telling you, they trying to hide this stuff now. They be trying to make it sound real good when commission ain't nowhere around. You know, but they can't hide from the truth. Because we on the manifest, and it's more than one adept over here. We got a whole bunch of them. So we say Islamism without the schism, and the best is yet to come, and we'll see you, you know, in our next session. You know, peace and love, family.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Islam.